Welcome back to Money Girl. This is a special show, episode 1000. It's a huge milestone that would not be possible without you. So I can't thank you enough for sharing this journey with me, whether you've listened to 1 or 1,000 episodes. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, spokesperson, content creator, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can learn more at lauradadams.com. Today, I am sticking with a 1,000 theme and sharing 7 smart ways to manage an extra $1,000. And along the way, I'll feature a few comments and tips from listeners who have been part of the Money Girl journey. All right, so let's talk about these 7 ways to spend $1,000. I think whenever you get extra money, whether it's a tax refund, a bonus at work, or, you've just been diligently saving, having an extra $1,000 can be a powerful moment to make this surplus go even further. So I'll review the best ways to make this cash work hard for you, depending on your financial situation. And even if you don't have that much extra money, these tips will still help you prioritize your finances. So, tip number 1, build your emergency savings. When you have extra money, my first recommendation is to review your savings. And I know you've heard me say this before if you've been listening to Money Girl. If you don't already have a healthy cash reserve, building it should be your top priority. So if your emergency fund doesn't exist yet, or it's just too small, moving $1,000 or any amount of extra money into an FDIC-insured high-yield savings account is the smartest way to use it. And last week's podcast, episode 999, called What is the Best High-Yield Savings Account, covers what you need to know about choosing and using these terrific high-interest accounts. A cash cushion helps you manage financial hardship, avoid debt, and reduce stress. Even a small fund is better than nothing, and it can be your most valuable safety net when something unexpected happens. And that happens to all of us. I know saving extra money instead of spending it on something fun might seem like a downer, but it's an important move for navigating unexpected changes in your financial life, like having a large expense or even a loss of income. While you won't earn a huge amount of interest, even with a high-yield account, that's not the goal for this bucket of money. Your cash reserve should never be invested or exposed to any market risk because it could lose significant value. Having funds available when you need them, that's the purpose of an emergency fund. Ideally, you should have a cash reserve equal to at least 3 months' worth of your living expenses. However, depending on your work and family situation, you might need more or less. One tip to make saving easier is to automate a direct deposit to your emergency savings account. It could be a percentage of your paycheck or a flat amount each week or month. You can ask your employer to set it up or even create your own recurring transfer from checking to savings. That way, you slowly and consistently build a cash cushion without having to think about it. Okay, the second smart thing to do with extra money is purchase needed insurance. Like building an emergency fund, purchasing insurance with an extra $1,000 is another admittedly dull but smart way to protect yourself against potential disasters. For instance, if you're a renter and you don't have renter's insurance, you need a policy. Coverage for renters is surprisingly affordable, averaging less than $180 a year nationwide. A renter's policy doesn't cover your dwelling, but it does cover your personal belongings and liability up to certain limits. When you rent, your landlord is not responsible for your possessions. They're only responsible for the dwelling. So you having renter's insurance is critical. If you need extra liability protection, let's say beyond the limits of your existing policies, like your auto, home, or renter's insurance, consider purchasing an umbrella liability insurance policy. It covers you up to a higher liability limit after other policy limits are exhausted. And life insurance is critical when your death would create a financial hardship for dependents you leave behind, like a spouse, children, or aging parents. They can be set up as beneficiaries and receive a payout upon your death. If you're single or no one depends on your income, you either need a minimal funeral expense policy or none at all. And if you have a stay-at-home spouse who cares for your children, you also need a policy on their life to cover future childcare costs. Life insurance is most affordable when you're young and in good health, so you don't want to wait to get coverage, if you need it. And if you don't have access to life insurance through an employer, or if you do, but it's just not enough, you can get life quotes at a site like Policy Genius. These are just a few types of insurance that are often overlooked, yet provide a financial safety net for you and your loved ones if something unexpected happens. And speaking of being financially prepared, here's a message from my friend and fellow author, podcaster, and financial literacy advocate.
Hi, Laura. This is Tony Stewart, host of the Get Ready Before Life Happens podcast. And my tip is for people to be curious and to ask questions. This helps in a lot of different ways. Asking questions allows you to get the right answers. And that's where financial literacy comes into play, is it helps people understand the right questions to ask. And the curiosity comes from wanting to change the way we think about money and about life. And when we're curious, is we do have that drive to ask questions. So when we think about asking questions, we can think about it in all the ways that asking questions helps us in different areas of our life, like when we're trying to learn a new game or a new skill. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. And congratulations again on reaching episode number 1000.
Thanks so much, Tony. Tony is a great guy who created the Get Ready movement to empower financial pros, educators, and individuals to change how they think about money and take action. You can check him out at tonysteuer.com. It's TONYSTEUER.com. Okay, my third tip for using an extra $1,000 is to pay down high-interest debt. So another smart way to use your extra money is to pay off high-interest debt. That could be credit cards or maybe loans. For instance, if your card charges 20% APR, paying it off is equivalent to a guaranteed 20% return on an investment. In general, I recommend tackling your highest interest debts first to drastically cut your interest expenses. If you have high interest loans or credit card debt, they challenge your ability to achieve financial success. So don't accept expensive credit card debt as a way of life or let it rob you of the ability to save and invest. Not only will reducing expensive debt help you save money, but having lower debt balances also improves your credit scores. That's important because higher scores are the ticket to lower interest loans and credit cards and cheaper insurance premiums, helping you save money. Tip 4, contribute to a retirement account. The next best use of an extra $1,000 is to invest it in a tax-advantaged retirement account. Maybe it's an individual retirement account or IRA, or a workplace retirement plan like a 401k or a 403b. Let's say you're 30 and you put $1,000 into an after-tax Roth IRA, and you never contribute another penny. If you invested in an index fund with an average return of 7%, by the time you're 65, so 35 years later, the account will be worth nearly $12,000, and that's all tax-free. But if you contribute $1,000 a year to a Roth IRA for 35 years at an average 7% return, you'll have over $150,000 of tax-free funds to spend in retirement. And if you contribute the current IRA maximum of $7,500 a year for 35 years at a 7% average annual growth rate, you'll have over $1.13 million in your nest egg. Since few people have guaranteed pensions or the desire or ability to work into old age, investing for retirement is essential. In addition, the earlier you begin investing for retirement, the less you actually need to invest thanks to compounding. You're never too young to begin planning for your future, and even regular small investments are better than nothing. Regularly contributing at least 10% of your gross income to a retirement account is an excellent goal. But there's no rule that you can't invest a lump sum for retirement when you have a cash windfall.
Hi, Laura. I really enjoy your Money Girl podcast. My name is Maram. And something that I was thinking about in terms of previous money tips was when you mentioned in episode 779, 9 surprising tips to build wealth. You were talking about investing in index funds. And something that really stood out to me was that long-term, passively managed index funds can actually deliver better returns than active funds, and that they require less effort and time to grow wealth over long term. That's something that surprised me and stood out to me. And I think in terms of money advice overall, the fact that you considered the nuance of time and effort and how much it's worth it in the end for growing wealth is something that I really appreciate in your show. So thank you, and congratulations on 1,000 episodes.
Maram is the QDT Network's terrific podcast associate, and I really appreciate everything she does behind the scenes to ensure all our shows are created and published. I really appreciate your thoughtful message, Maram, and I'm so glad that tip about simple investing was helpful for you. All right, tip 5, boost a child's education fund. If your emergency savings and retirement investments are on track, you might consider using an extra $1,000 for a child's education. For instance, you could open a 529 savings plan, which allows tax-free withdrawals for qualified education expenses. There's a wide range of education costs you can pay for with a 529, including tuition, room and board, books, supplies, and technology. It also covers various academic paths like trade schools and professional certifications. In addition, you can use up to $10,000 once in your life to help repay federal or private student loans. And starting in 2026, 529 plans allow you to withdraw up to $20,000 per student per year for elementary and secondary school expenses. You can even use 529 funds for tutoring, testing fees, homeschooling supplies, and educational therapies.
The Money Girl is rich with content, that is. 1,000 episodes is quite an achievement, Laura. Congratulations. This is John Lanza of the Art of Allowance podcast with a massive tip of the cap to the Money Girl and this amazing achievement.
Thanks so much, my friend. Check out John's show, The Art of Allowance podcast, where I was recently a guest. We had a great conversation about which accounts families should use to save and invest for a child's future. John is dedicated to youth financial literacy, helping parents raise money-smart kids. He's written some books. One is The Art of Allowance, a short practical guide to raising money-smart, money-empowered kids, and a terrific children's book series called The Money Mammals. Check them out. All right, tip 6 is to get advice from a financial professional. If you have an extra $1,000, one of the smartest ways to spend it might be hiring a financial pro, like a certified financial planner or CFP. To earn this designation, you must meet rigorous education, examination, experience, and ethical standards as set by the Certified Financial Planner Board. CFPs are trained to help you manage finances through a comprehensive approach that integrates all areas of your finances to achieve your life goals. They create a detailed financial plan with actionable recommendations and points to review your progress. CFPs are paid in different ways, including commission only, fee only, salary, or a combination of these methods. They can create a one-time financial plan or work with you on an ongoing basis. Be sure you understand an advisor's level of experience, their legal obligation to protect your financial interests, and how they're paid. A great place to start your search for a CFP is letsmakeaplan.org which is run by the CFP Board, a nonprofit organization that sets and enforces certification standards.
Hi, Laura Adams. Calling to wish you congratulations on your 1,000 podcast milestone. Wow. Thank you so much for positively impacting the world with your actionable education. This is Marie Burns, a colleague in the financial education world at mindmoneymotion.com, offering women podcasts, blogs, and digital money tools for less worry and more life.
Thank you so much, Marie. Marie is a CFP and has been advocating for her clients' financial health for over 20 years. At her site, you can learn more about her financial services, checklists, and her Mind Money Motion podcast. Tip 7. Spend a portion on something fun. Since this episode celebrates a milestone, it's important for me to say that money is for living, too. You might allocate 90% of $1,000 or $900 to one of my previous 6 responsible options and take the remaining 10% or $100 for something you enjoy. Rewarding yourself is also part of preventing burnout and making your wealth-building goals sustainable.
Hey, Laura, it's Chris Hill, longtime host of Motley Fool Money. There's only one way someone can host 1,000 episodes of a podcast. They love what they're doing, they have to be great at it, and they have to consistently make it worth the listener's time. And you have done that from the very start. And now you're on the very short list of people who have hosted 1,000 episodes. I'm so happy you're going to be joining me later this month on my new show, Money Unplugged, because every time we talk, I end up being smarter about money, and I've got a smile on my face. Congratulations, Laura.
Thank you for your kind words, Chris. Chris is a veteran podcaster and financial pro, and I'm excited to be an upcoming guest on his show, Money Unplugged, where he focuses on the emotional side of personal finances. Again, thank you for letting me be a part of your financial journey. Here's to the next 1,000 shows. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and we've got a great team. I want to thank Steve Rickyberg, our audio engineer. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcast. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Rebecca Sebastian is our marketing and publicity manager. Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor. And Maram El Naguib is our podcast associate.